A lot of great improvements are going to benefit the facility for years to come.
The volunteers were organized by LA Works, a volunteer center for community and corporate service. They hailed from companies such as Northrop Grumman, the Home Depot, LA Dodgers, and Pink's Hot Dogs, just to name a few. And those volunteers made it a family event by enlisting their spouses and kids to help get the work done faster. Together they landscaped, washed fire trucks, dusted light fixtures, and much more.
I'm with my mom and my dad and my sister, and we're helping out the firefighters clean up the facility.
And this girl didn't let her injury keep her away. She scraped and painted with one hand while holding on to her crutch with the other. Now that's dedication.
Every day when we come here, and the outside agencies that come here, they're going to notice all the work that you have done.
The feeling of appreciation was mutual. Families were grateful they could spend quality time together while giving back to their firefighters.
It feels good because they help us, so we want to help them back when they need it.
Volunteers also had a lot of fun goofing off. Many took home a souvenir photo of themselves dressed up as firefighters. And why not? They kind of did save the day. And if you're interested in volunteering through LA Works, go to laworks.com. And there's also a lot of beautification going on our city streets thanks to the LA Conservation Corps. Rasha Goel shows us what some young men and women are doing to help make over the city on their summer break.
On any given day during the summer, these young kids are out helping clean up the city as volunteers with the LA Conservation Corps. But today is a little different. They have an audience. That's because it's Bring Your Parents to Work Day.
Today's a day where the students bring their parents and work alongside with them to see what type of work they do during their vacation.
It makes me understand and appreciate that my daughter is going to work and helping the community. So, I appreciate LACC and the children for working hard.
These teens from the ages of 14 to 17 are part of the Conservation Corps' Clean and Green program that helps beautify neighborhoods.
It allows people to feel change. When people feel change, they feel comfortable and safe in their neighborhood.
It's an awesome opportunity to come out and see the people driving by, waving, and seeing that we're trying to make our mark in the community with Clean and Green.
The Los Angeles Conservation Corps provides at-risk young adults and school-aged kids with an opportunity to succeed.
This is a great organization for young people to join because it teaches them life skills, job skills, how to get things done.
Especially when it comes to giving back to their communities. From downtown LA, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Clean and Green is one of the LA Conservation Corps' oldest ongoing youth and workforce development programs. Well, we regularly report on the opening of new park space in the city, but it's the people behind the scenes, residents themselves, who are the real engines that drive the project. That's the case in El Sereno, where residents, after 3 decades, may finally have their park. It's not a celebration without the local drill team. And there's a whole heck of a lot to celebrate on this day if you ask one of the many El Sereno residents who showed up for the groundbreaking of the soon-to-be green space at the intersection of Alhambra and Concord Avenues, also known as the S-curve.
I think it's the greatest thing that's happened here in probably 50 years. We don't have a park that we could use within 3 miles.
If Val Marquez's enthusiasm seems a tad disproportionate to the occasion, that's because he and his group, Concerned Neighbors of El Sereno, have been working behind the scenes for decades to make this park a reality.
And I just always asked myself, I wonder why it's an empty lot. I wonder why it's such a waste of land.
One main reason the city wasn't able to move faster on the project was that the land was owned by Caltrans and not the city of Los Angeles. The breakthrough came when Councilmember Jose Huizar helped garner a 25-year lease agreement between Caltrans and the LA Department of Recreation and Parks.
And when we cut the ribbon on this park, that 25-year lease was worth all the efforts and everything we put into this.
More than 4,000 children live within 1 mile of the project site. That's why the park is just the start of many more improvements, including
sidewalks, guardrails, and pedestrian access with appropriate signage around this area to make sure that we're not only improving this parcel, but we're improving the area around here to make it a safe park as well.
This is something we need around here to keep kids out of the streets.
The seniors will be able to come in and walk. Right now, they're walking the streets.
Once completed, the 1.3-acre site will be transformed into a recreation area with a nature garden, walking paths, and exercise equipment, something for everyone in El Sereno to enjoy. The fruits of labor born from real community effort. In addition to the Department of Recreation and Parks, the Trust for Public Land had been the lead agency on the project. Well, police urge caution on the road as the end of summer nears. One flyaway shuttle service to LAX has been discontinued, and celebrating Nisei Week in Little Tokyo. These stories and more in City Beat. The LAPD will be conducting several checkpoints throughout the city from now through the Labor Day weekend to crack down on drunk driving. It's part of a statewide Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign. In 2010 alone, 791 people died in California in alcohol-related car and motorcycle crashes. The age group with the highest percentage of alcohol-impaired driving fatalities in motor vehicle traffic crashes was the 21 to 24 age group. Police say programs like checkpoints as well as the Sober Graduation campaign targeting young drivers help reduce alcohol-impaired driving fatalities. The city of Los Angeles has been celebrating Navy Days since 1997, and this year was no different as members of the public were treated to free tours of a U.S. Navy destroyer and U.S. Coast Guard cutter George Cobb at the Port of Los Angeles.
Every year we welcome a ship to port in support of the Navy League, which promotes and educates the public about the sea services, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, and Merchant Marine.
The Port of Los Angeles was once the home of battleships and is now also the future home of the USS Iowa. The local Japanese American community celebrated in Little Tokyo the 72nd annual Nisei Week. Taking place over 2 straight weekends, the festivities attracted visitors from all over Southern California and beyond.
This is an important event and one of the oldest and largest Japanese American traditions that promote goodwill and cultural exchange.
And one of the most popular traditions of Nisei Week is the crowning of a Nisei Queen and court. The young women chosen to sit on this year's court paid a visit to council chambers as part of the Nisei Week celebrations. LAX officials have announced they will discontinue flyaway bus service between the airport and the Irvine station in Orange County sometime in September. The operator of the flyaway service at the Irvine Transportation Center recently filed for bankruptcy. This was the 3rd straight year of losses since the Irvine service began in November 2009, with only an average of 48 riders daily. Other flyaway shuttle service locations will not be affected. For information about the LAX flyaway shuttles, go to lawa.aero/flyaway. We recently brought you a story on the Leimert Park Book Fair, and now we take you to yet another event that shines the spotlight on the literary world of the African American community. Anna Marcus takes us to the 8th annual Los Angeles Black Book Expo, helping to open up books and minds.
Written word, spoken word, any kind of word is welcome here. The Los Angeles Black Book Expo aims to promote book authors and to encourage the Black community to read. It also highlights African American media, history, and issues.
We have all sorts of activity, new and aspiring authors, actually new authors, and even established authors are selling their books. We have panels and workshops going on, children's area, a spoken word pavilion.
Author Danielle Spencer Fields is best known for her role as Dee Thomas in the 70s show What's Happening? But she's gone on to become a veterinarian and animal show producer, and she's written a book called Through the Fire, the Journal of a Child Star.
It basically talks about my experience growing up as a child in the industry, what I did after the show ended, and then the second part is about how I had a surgery that changed my life, brought me closer to God, and made me realize my purpose. And I also wrote it to inspire the disabled community.
Books at this expo can be stark and gritty with titles such as Just Like Compton and Ghetto Diva. Others touch on a broad range of issues, from creating wealth to partner violence to building healthy marriages. to coping with the stress of being a teen mom.
I was a teen mother myself. I got pregnant at the age of 15 and I had my son at 16. It lets these girls know, okay, you can be successful. You can do anything you want to do. All the dreams you had, you can still succeed, and there's proof.
It's always good if you can support any of your authors because a lot of us don't go through the big publishers, but anytime you can come out to a book expo, it's always good because you enhance your learning.
For more information on the Los Angeles Black Book Expo, visit www.labbx.com. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
And most of the books mentioned in our story can be found and purchased online. In this week's list of things to do, an art walk in the valley, painting your own Rothko, and the city's pools stay open a little while longer. Shops and restaurants on Devonshire Street near Topanga Canyon Boulevard and local artists have come together to host the West End Chatsworth Summer Art Walk. They have already organized art walk events in June and July, and the final event of the summer is on Friday, August 31st from 5:30 to 9 p.m. on Devonshire Street between Topanga Canyon Boulevard and Owensmouth Avenue. So come on down and support the local businesses and artists. Enjoy refreshments and meet your neighbors. Door prizes include tickets to the Hollywood Bowl. Go to chatsworthfineartscouncil.com for details. And take a guided tour of MoCA's permanent collection on Sunday, September 2nd, and discuss the ideas behind Mark Rothko's large-scale pictures and the techniques used to apply various colors that appear to float on the canvas. The tour from 1 to 3:30 p.m. is part of the museum's Sunday Studio program and includes the opportunity to paint a picture with a guest artist using Rothko's techniques and your own. This participatory hands-on workshop has been designed in collaboration with Center Theater Group's upcoming performance, Red, a play set in the 1950s in Rothko's New York studio. MoCA Grand Avenue is located at 250 South Grand Avenue downtown. Go to moca.org. And you've still got time to get your swim on, as the city's Department of Recreation and Parks has extended summer swim at 46 of its aquatic facilities until Labor Day. That's 3 extra weeks of swim lessons and recreational swim. For the 14th consecutive year, children under the age of 18, seniors age 65 or older, and the disabled can swim for free at all of the city pools. The rest pay just $2.50 or $2 with the city library card. For more information, call the department's aquatics division at 323-906-7953. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today.
Come on, let's go.
Just a minute, I gotta finish this.
Wait, you're gonna post those pictures of Mary?
Yep. She thinks she's so hot.
But her mom and dad will see them. Her grandmother, her little sister, everyone she knows. It's gonna kill her.
Who cares? Just a couple of pictures. It's no big deal.
No big deal? Don't. This has gotta stop.
G'day, Troy McCubbin from North Hollywood. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35, our city, our channel.
Okay, good morning. Today's date is Tuesday, August 28th. Tuesday, August 28th. Welcome to your Los Angeles City Council meeting. I want to apologize for the delay. Madam Clerk, I believe we have a quorum. Could you please call the roll?
Alarcon, Buscaino, Cardenas, Englander, Garcetti, Weezer, Carrasco, Coin, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendale, Zine, Wesson, Timmer is present and a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Parks moves, Ms. Perry seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Englander moves, Weezer seconds. And that should bring us to what, the flag salute?
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay, if everyone in council chambers could please rise. We'll be led in our flag salute by Mr. Mitch Englander.
Please join me by placing your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Englander. Madam Clerk, I believe we can start going through the agenda at this point.
Item 1 is an item notice for public hearing. The Department of Building and Safety reports that item 1A may be received and filed inasmuch as a lien has been paid, and there's request to continue item 1E to September 25th.
Okay, the request to continue is without objection. So, do we have cards?
Yes, there's cards.
Okay, we'll hold that for cards. Okay, what's the next section?
Items 2 through 20 are items for which public hearings have been held.
You go ahead.
Okay. For item 5, the ballot tabulation results are 72.45% of ballots were cast in support and 27.55% of ballots were cast in opposition. The weighted value of the supporting ballots exceeds that of those in opposition. A majority protest was not found to exist. Therefore, Council may authorize the establishment of the Tarzana Safari Walk Business Improvement District.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Zine?
Forthwith on item number 5, please.
Well, when we get to it. We haven't voted yet. No, we were just identifying the next section of, but we'll take care of your item. Members, let me inform you that we have several commissioners for reappointment. I am not going to hold any of those, so I'm going to place those on consent unless you feel compelled. But they're commissioners that we know, they're reappointments. And then we do have one commissioner that will be appointed for the first time. Mr. Labange.
Yeah, I just want to say in committee we had all these commissioners, and I think for the record, when they do come up, we could at least call their name out and also thank them for their service to the commission because they do a good job.
Let's just see let's see how this goes. Mr. Parks. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'd like to hold number 2 as special. We did not have all the information in committee from ethics. Also number 6 and number 20.
Okay, 2, 6, and 20.
And 6 and 20 are just for me to have a no vote if no one else has any questions.
Okay, 6 and 20 are just for a no vote. Mr. Englander?
I'm sorry?
You were on the queue. Maybe it was an accident, so we'll treat it as such. Okay, so members, on the remaining items, Madam Clerk, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes. And the ordinances for items 5 and 7 will be held over for 1 week unless we consider it with 12 members.
Okay, I don't think we're going to get to 12 today. Could you read the commissioner for item 4, which has been approved?
Item 4 is the reappointment of Ms. Veronica Padilla to the North Valley Area Planning Commission.
Ms. Padilla, congratulations. Okay. Next section.
Items 21 through 47 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Okay, without objection, those items are now before us. Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Number 27, I'd like to hold that for Ms. Maddox as her first appointment.
I understand.
Thank you.
So we will hold item 27. Mr. Labange.
Just on the previous run, forthwith on 18, a star for Ricardo Montalban, and a postal stamp for Ricardo Montalban, U.S. Postal Service.
Forthwith on those items. Cards.
Cards on items 21, 27, 28, 31, 33, 36, 39, 40, 41, and 44.
Mr. Parks.
45 special.
45 special for Mr. Parks. Okay, on the remaining items.
Excuse me, Mr. President, there is a request to continue item 39 to October 10th and item 40 to September 12th.
Okay, without objection. Okay, so let's vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, that brings us where?
On the continuation agenda, item 48 is an item for which a public hearing has been held. I believe, Mr. President, that a new resolution needs to be circulated. Would you like to hold this on the desk?
Okay, we'll hold it on the desk and we'll wait for the amending motion. Mr. Weezer, it's my understanding that we did have a full committee hearing on this yesterday. Mr. Koretz, I want to thank you very much for, handling that bit of business for us. It's my understanding it came out of committee unanimous. So again, I want to thank you. It is my intention, Mr. Weezer, to afford you 10 minutes on this. So there'll be 10 minutes and 1 minute per speaker, since it has already met the legal requirement and the hearing was already held. Okay, and I do want to give consideration. We have a colleague, I believe, from Pasadena or South Pasadena that should be afforded the opportunity to speak as well. So item 48 will be held. Mr. Labange, are you ready for your presentation? 32 forthwith, Madam Clerk. Is Mr. Labange ready for his presentation? Doesn't appear so. There were two items that Mr. Parks held special because he needed to vote no on those items. What numbers were those, Madam Clerk?
Items 6 and 20.
Items 6 and 20. Do we have any cards on 6 and 20?
No, public hearing has been held for those.
Okay, so then on those items, Mr. Parks, we're going to take those items up. We'll start off with item 6. Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
9 ayes, 1 no.
Okay, now we'll move to, was it item 20?
Yes.
Okay, on this item, Madam Clerk, prepare to vote. Let us open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
8 ayes, 2 no.
Thank you.
And for the record, item 6 will be held over for 1 week.
Okay, before we start with you, Mr. Labange, we're going to do item 14. No, not item 14. Okay, Mr. Labange, Mr. Parks.
Item 2 on the commissioner, his paperwork is in. He's here, but we can move it on consent.
Okay, since it's a reappointment, let's, on item 2, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, Madam Clerk, if you could read the commissioner's name on item 2.
Item 2 is the reappointment of Mr. Daniel Gatica to the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners.
Congratulations, sir. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you for your service to the city of Los Angeles. We'll quickly move to item 21. I want to ask Mr. John Walsh to come forward. In fact, we'll do items 21 and 27, Mr. Walsh, HollywoodHighland.org. So, Mr. Walsh, if you would stay, we're going to do 21 now, and then we'll do 27. Mr. John Walsh, the floor is yours.
Walsh, as you said, our blog, Hollywood Confidential, it is always a pleasure and a privilege to appear here when the room is full of my brothers and sisters from the union. I joined the AFL-CIO when I was 22 years old. That was 1970. Figure it out. Number 21 is important, and I would like to, whenever I praise them, they never say I'm off topic. You're doing a great job, Mr. Wesson. And as far as number 21 is concerned, this concerns Ms. Carolina Castillo, Commission for Community and Family Services. We think she should be put in. But we think that the mayor should be here. It's his appointee. Instead, he's in Florida with Isaac, HollywoodHighlands.org.
Thank you. So on this item, item 21, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay. In fact, what I want to do, we're not going to take up item 27 at this time. Mr. Labange, are you ready?
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the council. We have a very special person here this morning. It's David Moss, who is President Emeritus of the Friends of the Los Feliz Library. David came out from Chicago in 1947 and landed in the Wilshire district of Los Angeles and lived in the Alexandria corridor. But he found his library, his local library, right there in Los Feliz. Once was a little storefront, which needed to get bigger, and bigger it did with the efforts of the Friends of the Los Feliz Library and the Los Feliz Improvement Association. David Moss led the efforts to get the brand new library, which is at Hillhurst and Los Feliz and Franklin. A tremendous individual, and I show you this, Mr. President, because how many people write notes anymore? This is a note I received recently from David, which talked about the issues that we have done together over the years and wishing us well and all the happiness. He has single-handedly supported the Postal Service in Los Angeles with all the stamps and the letters that he sent. So, David, you're friends of the Friends of Los Feliz Library. I thought it would be appropriate as you move from the 13th district, which you lived, the 4th district library, which you went to the 3rd district, where he now lives in Mr. Zine's district. This is a new constituent, Mr. Zine. You got to get your ears checked, Mr. Zine, because this guy now lives in your district and he wants to support you as well. David Moss. So let's give this commendation on behalf, as President Emeritus of Los Feliz Library, for the many works that you have done as a true leader. For over 23 years, you've impacted the community. You've walked the streets of the community to get support for the library programs. You've helped make many great things happen, especially for young people and old people alike. All people who've come to that library have been helped by David Moss, because he is President Emeritus of the Los Feliz Library. Give him a big hand. Thank you. And our new city librarian, John Zabel. John, step up here right now.
Well, let me say thank you, Mr. Moss, on my 7th day here in the city of Los Angeles. How fortunate the Los Angeles Public Library is to have dedicated volunteer supporters like Mr. Moss, and more importantly, how fortunate the residents of our city and the Los Feliz community are to have dedicated volunteers like yourself who run our book sales and support our friends groups and volunteer in our libraries, making our libraries exceptional places for the residents of our city. So thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here on my first of such proclamations and recognitions. Thank you.
The first one is a good one, and that's it there, John. And I just want to tell you the great thing about the library department, it has friends. And the friends stood up for the library department. And they also have great leaders. And Pearl is the leader of the librarian, who is our chief librarian. Pearl, would you just say hello in a few words?
Good morning, members of council. My name is Pearl Yonezawa. I'm the senior librarian at the Los Feliz branch of the Los Angeles Public Library. I can tell you the many things that David has done over the years, although I think Tom did an excellent job. But I think it would be more effective if I just showed you something. Would you guys unwrap that? This is a card that was presented to David at his last official event at the Los Feliz Library.
Now.
It is a thank you card from all the members in the community, not all of them. It is signed by adults, teens, children, and one dog.
What was the dog's name?
I can't see it from there.
Come on, what's the dog's name? I gotta have a dog. Did you check out a book?
Elite Super Smut.
Okay.
Super Mutt. I don't have to tell you what it feels like to serve your communities, because I know you all do every day. But this is one man's tribute here to what it means to be the heart of a community. And David is certainly the heart of the Los Feliz Library.
One man's reward as well as tribute.
One man's reward. And Mark Strong wanted to say a few words as the president of the Friends of the Library. Mark, real quick here.
Yes, David was the former president of the Friends of the Los Feliz Library for how many years, David?
22.
22 years. And I'm the current president, and I'm trying to fill his shoes. So with the union people that are here today, please say a special prayer for David and all those that have given to the city. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate that, David. You all know the importance of friends, and the libraries has friends, our parks have friends, they need more friends, cultural affairs, all the humanities need extra love. Police department has some friends too, which are police athletic leagues and all that, which is very important. And I just got to give a shout out to Cahuenga Branch Library, just a little south, John. That was my neighborhood library, and my favorite book was Mike Mulligan and the Steam Shovel. So anyway, thank you. Give a big hand. David Moss. You want to say something, David? Yes. Yeah. Just real quick. Come over here so we can hear you. Hold on, Mark. Mark, hold on.
Just my thanks for 22 wonderful years to the community. It's the greatest in the city as far as I'm concerned. The support that we get is wonderful. The books that they donate, the books that they buy, the posters that they allow us to put up is the greatest in the world. Thanks a million.
David, thank you. And with the Friends of Los Feliz Library, stand up.
Thank you, David. Mr. Labange.
Just get the friends. Thank you.
Mr. Labange, we have Mr. Englander in the queue.
Yeah, Mr. Labange, I just wanted to thank you for bringing somebody so special forward. I usually, as you well know, don't speak too often during these presentations, but it was people like you, David, that helped me. Because I was raised by a single mom, and oftentimes after school I have to go to the library because there's nobody to help me do my homework. There's nobody to watch me and supervise. And so oftentimes I found myself in a library after school and growing up. And so it's the volunteers that make a difference in our community. It's the volunteers that engage and make a difference in people's lives. So God bless you. Thank you for everything you've done.
Congratulations, David. Thank you, Mr. Labange. Okay. Let's go to item 28. Mr. John Walsh, please come forward.
We're going to walk right over here and go take a picture.
Don't want to waste a precious second of your time.
Go on, Mr. Walsh.
HollywoodHighlands.org. And we've already reached item 28. This is Los Angeles housing. And this is actually the city council does a good job of going after rogue landlords. And what this is going after rogue landlords. And you see, if you're 28, there are quite a number of them. I think you're doing an excellent job on some places, and I don't think the problem in this city is union pensions. I think the problem in this city is the banks run this city. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Stay close, Mr. Walsh. We're going to call 31. On this item, Madam Clerk, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, now we're at item 31. Mr. Walsh, item 31, held special by John Walsh, HollywoodHighland.org.
Number 31, if you take out your, if you're at home, check these on your website. Last time I was here, I got 7,000 hits that day, last Friday. This concerns, you don't believe this, a company claims they overpaid their taxes. And of course, this company incidentally has connections to the mayor. So this is item 31 where you see that this company is now getting a refund of $263,922.66 plus compound interest. So, in other words, I just want all the other companies to know. Donate $1,000 here and there up here at City Council. Donate $1,000, maybe $5,000 or $6,000, all told to the mayor and the City Council. And guess what? They'll discover a mistake in your taxes and give you the refund. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay, on this item, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, now we'll move to item 33, Donna Pearman, followed by John Walsh. Donna Pearman, item 33.
Yeah. Well, it looks like here that it looks like the CRA is not completely dead. It appears the CRA is taking on new roles. It says this is about our projects. Tomorrow they'll get into medical marijuana. So I don't know how desperate the CRA is, that the CRA, it appears to be getting in all different type of areas. I don't know if you still fund the CRA like you funded it before, but I tell you that what you are wrong is closing down Van Nuys City Hall, so I could have spoken over there. I don't think it's right that I need to speak it over here. I want to know exactly why the CRA is still here and why they're getting into art projects. And how much is this going to cost us? It appears to me that we need to get rid of the CRA completely. And I love to see Garcetti came back. I see his bunny, but I don't see him here. So anyway, let's stop the CRA. Let's not get them into our projects, because I don't think they know what they're doing. And let's reopen Van Nuys City Hall, because I'm in a lot of pain coming down here. You're wrong.
Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at Hollywood Highlands, HIGHLANDS.org. We have a new post up last week. CRA, 1973, I got up in Berkeley and I said, we are going to destroy the CRA entirely in the state of California. I said that, 1973, when they were taking a black man's home in an industrial park. And the man and his wife were crying. Well, you know what? My psychotic ravings are now the truth. Believe me. They're like Freddy Krueger. They will live the CRA in our nightmares forever, but they're not taking our property. They're not taking our property taxes that's supposed to go to schools that are now going to schools. We have to pay off their $100 billion with a B debt, but they're gone. Where I live, they cannot tear my building down and give my landlord whatever they damn well want to give him. My landlord's on my side. If they want to tear my building down, they have to negotiate with the landlord. And the landlord's going to want a lot more than the CRA want. The CRA was the great Satan. We destroyed them. They no longer exist. And anybody who loves their enemy, then it still exists, but it's gone. And HollywoodHighlands.org is celebrating on the grave of the CRA. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Okay, Madam Clerk, let's open the roll on this item, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, we'll now go to item 41. Donna Pearman, please come to the mic.
This is about the beautification. I don't understand why we need to set them to do money on the beautification program when when you close down Van Nuys City Hall. So anyway, we need to open up Van Nuys. So anyway, I got confused now. So
it's okay.
Yeah, we need to. Yeah. We don't need to spend all this money on the furniture funds for different districts. If we just gave enough money over to the neighborhood councils, they would be able to regulate exactly where we need to do it. And we need to reopen Van Nuys. If you can certainly find areas to spend a lot of money, then I could see that you come down to Van Nuys. And, I'll be back on there telling you all about how we need to reopen Van Nuys. And how we can't, you're taking away Miriam Fogler's right to speak by making it come all the way down to Spring Street. So let's vote no on this, though. I think it's an automatic yes.
Thank you. Okay, on this item, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Now we're going to go to item 44, Dr. Tom Williams. Don't run, Dr. Williams. Take your time. You're such a respectful man. I will wait for you, sir.
Ni hao. How ma? I don't know. Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council and proud husband of a Chinese-born wife. So, am I interested in Chinatown? Yeah. But even before I met my wife, we destroyed Chinatown. In the 1930s, the Union Station was developed over Chinatown. When we were doing the construction of the Red Line Phase 1, we explored the original Chinatown. So as part of the themes, maybe you should get MTA to match the funds so that they can resurrect what they have destroyed and what the railroads destroyed of the original Chinatown. Thank you.
Thank you. Let us, Madam Clerk, prepare to vote on this item. Please open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote. 11 ayes. Okay. We're going to now go to item 36, held special by for cards, Donna Pearman, John Walsh, Hayes Lynn, and Judy Mancuso. Please come forward. Please come forward. Don't wait on the other speakers. If you heard your name, please come forward. Go straight to the podium, identify yourself, and speak your mind.
Hi, good morning. I'm Judy Mancuso with Social Compassion and Legislation. I was appointed to the Spay and Neuter Advisory Committee in 2008 by Councilman Alarcon, and the committee came up with recommendations on how to make the spay and neuter ordinance better, tightening some exemptions and making it easier for enforcement. The general manager now has taken these recommendations and taken a look at this and thought they were good, and that that's all these are, just some cleanup items from 2008. So thank you for supporting them and voting for them today. Thank you.
Thank you. Please identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Hayes Lynn, and I'm with Take Me Home Rescue. And I also hope that you support the changes to the ordinance. My rescue's been in a lawsuit for 3 years with someone who would not allow us to spay our dog. And she used the old medical exemptions to get 2 exemptions from the city. So these new changes will end those loopholes for people to abuse those. And 2 veterinarians also wrote her fraudulent letters. So I beg you, please support it. These are great changes. I commend the department, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Walsh?
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. This is a special case when you deal with animals, because animals can't hire, the animals cannot hire lobbyists, the animals cannot put pressure, make political contributions. This itself is good, but we have had enormous problems at spay and neuter. We've had animals killed, they say put down. They're assassinated. And there is pain no matter what you do. When you die, there's pain. We'll all find that out. HollywoodHighlands.org says we must crack down on animal services and animal welfare. And go to Daniel Guss, G-U-S-S, go to his website and take a look at what's going on with animal control. There are worse cities than L.A. on animal control, but there are many better cities than L.A. on animal control. HollywoodHighlands.org. See, you don't do a terrible job, just every once in a while.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Donna Pearman?
This appears to be another way to take away the First people's rights. You know, we should be able to look to see whether people are doing proper breeding. We shouldn't just do a blanket for only people that are wealthy. We should be able to find out exactly if these people are going to take care of their animals and what they exactly have to do. It's like taking away, they are right to take away the Speak and Van Nuys. This is another sort of sample. Yes, we don't want to have animals euthanized. We want to have it that animals are not euthanized. I know President Weston was very good on with his adopt a cat or dog, and which I liked him for. But we shouldn't take away we shouldn't just blanket saying that people don't have the right to breed animals, that people don't have the right to have puppies. I can't believe that people can't have the right to have puppies in their family or kitties. That's wrong.
Thank you. On this item, if we could please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, we're going to now, Mr. Parks, are you ready with your reward? I understand you have a reward motion.
Yes.
Or do you want me to take another item, then come back to you? You okay? Okay, now we're going to go to 45, which was held special by Mr. Parks.
Colleagues, I'd ask that we approve unanimously a reward motion on a homicide and a very serious injury of a second person. On January the 17th, 2012, at approximately 3:40 p.m., 31-year-old Roy Milton Love Jr. was in the driver's seat of his red 2000 Ford Taurus parked in the vicinity of 6320 Raymond. Mr. Love was in the vehicle, and from the rear of his vehicle on the driver's side, an unknown suspect approached and shot both he and Mrs. Tarver, his occupant of his vehicle. Mr. Love died of the injuries. Ms. Tarver survived but was seriously injured. To date, the detectives are unable to identify the suspects responsible for the murder of Mr. Love or the assault on Mrs. Tarver. Detectives are hopeful that a reward would be of help to them, and that we ask that anyone that has information on this case contact Detective Lyman Doster, Criminal Gang Homicide Division, at 213-485-1385. I'd like to make a technical correction on the motion. Because of the death and the other serious injury, it should be $75,000 versus $50,000.
And Mr. Parks, we've been doing too many of these lately, so yes. Please let's help on this issue. Members, if we could on this item, Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Let's go to item 1. Okay, we're going to do item 1. We have cards. Michael Carrion, Arnaldo Silva, and John. In fact, John Walsh, I believe, is out of time. So if we could get Michael Carrion, Arnaldo Silva. Yes, sir. Come right ahead.
This is referring to about that Stratford Road, and this is referring to the lien that of the house that was actually fell on the owner, which was my friend, and all I did is just try to see if I could help. I used to go and help him, but unfortunately that happened during a terrible storm in December, I believe 2010, I'm sorry. And I've been paying the taxes for the property, thinking that because he said he was going to sell it to me. And before we start doing any writing, he passed away. So I start paying the taxes, and I don't know how much right do I have to by paying the taxes. And if I need to pay the lien, and that will make me the owner of the lot, I will do it.
Thank you. Michael, carry on.
Thank you.
Oh, no, wait, go on. You have something else to say?
Well, I don't know which way to go, to who go to pay this lien, and if this is going to give me the right to own that property.
And Mr. Weezar, is this in your area? Mr. Weezar.
If you could hold this 1B on the desk,
Okay,
and
what
we will go to the side and speak with him on
Okay,
the
what
side.
we're going to do, Mr. Silva, we're going to hold 1B on the desk. I'm going to ask you to go to your right and speak to somebody from Mr. Weezar's staff. Okay, Michael, carry on.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Yes, Michael Carrion, CD 14. Here we are again with the city collecting over $60,000 in property that you put in REAP or in liens, and you call them nuisance abatements. Yet you refuse to clean your own property. I'm kind of appalled. Does anybody here have a property near them that the city owns that looks like garbage? Well, coming to work, I see dozens and dozens, and I bring them to my councilman, and it takes me a fight to get them cleaned. What are we going to do about the property you own? Why don't you clean your property before you take other people's property and you put them in these nuisance abatements? Sometimes I feel this council is a nuisance abatement because nobody here pays attention. Yes, 1, 2, 3. Miss Perry was paying attention on this one. I'll give you that one. Everybody else is in la-la land. This gentleman's losing the property. Nobody knows where to go. Yet you sit here and you turn around and take money out of people's mouths that are trying to feed their families and pay the bills. Yet you don't clean up your own property. On North Broadway, the eye doctor, it's an eyesore. It's graffiti, vulgarities on there. Mr. Reyes won't take it off. I brought you the pictures. I've shown them to you. Weeds, 6 feet tall on city property, and nothing gets done about it. But you have the audacity to put other people's property in abatement and charge them thousands of dollars, $60,000. Shame on you guys. I ask you to stop this corruption.
Thank you, Mr. Carrion. On this item, Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Mr. Weezar.
On that item, we could go forward with 1B. It is not the individual's property as a tenant. We've explained to him the differences about who's responsible for that. So
what do you want to do with that?
We could move forward with 1B.
Okay, so the vote will be on those items. Let's, Ms. Perry, I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
A request from Mr. Rosendahl to continue 1F for how long? For 2 weeks.
And that would bring us to what date, Madam Clerk?
September 11th.
Okay, without objection. So now, on the question, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay. At this time, we're going to take up item 27. I know that there are people here today to see this take place, and we can begin on item 27, even though I called item 27 much earlier, but request was made for us to wait until a certain mail made it to council chambers. And I'm not going to tell everybody that it was Kerman Maddox, so that's our secret. Anyway, I'd like to, at this point in time, turn to the chair of Public Works, Joe Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm pleased and honored to introduce to you soon to be a member, or actually continue to be a member of the city family, Capri Maddox, who has done some amazing work with the city attorney's office as a neighborhood prosecutor, where I've done some work with as a senior lead officer. She's done some great work at Wilshire Division. And I strongly encourage and I vote on appointing Ms. Maddox to the Public Works Commission. And this is why. I truly, and I know, and I truly feel, but I know that Ms. Maddox gets it when it comes to improving the quality of life in the city of Los Angeles, when it comes to street lights, roads, sidewalk repairs, just overall improving the quality of life because of her experience in the city attorney's office, specifically as a neighborhood prosecutor. So, Ms. Maddox, share with my colleagues how just a little bit about yourself and some of the work that you've done in the city attorney's office, and coupled with how your experience in the city attorney's office, bringing that for in front of the Public Works Commission.
Thank you, Councilman, members of council. As Councilmember Buscaino stated, I am serving currently as a deputy city attorney. I've been with the office 10 years. I'm currently serving as general counsel to neighborhood council. However, I started my legal career in the office as an attorney in the central trial section. I did serve as a neighborhood prosecutor for the great police station, also known as Wilshire Station. And I'm currently, after that I went to serve in complex litigation on the criminal side. And while I was a neighborhood prosecutor, which is where I spent most of my time in the office, I had an opportunity to use a lot of resources, namely some of those resources from the Public Works Department. Right. I assisted community groups in writing beautification grants, which were very successful, and I hope we get those back one day. In addition, we've used street lighting to reduce crime in certain areas and other obvious things. I'm very interested in being a part of the Public Works Department to continue my service off and on since 1992 to the City of Los Angeles.
Thank you. I'd like to also thank the mayor for this recommendation. I want to, and also great to see your family here as well.
Yes, my favorite 5-year-old is here.
Yeah, and also some of your colleagues in the city attorney's office here, as well as some of your future colleagues in Public Works.
Yes, madam. Thank you.
I want to know and share with our some of the issues that you plan on tackling on the commission and some of the departments you plan on working with.
Right. Of course, I intend to work with all the departments, but one of the focuses, I think, we need to deal with the sidewalk issue. As we all know, people that live in the Los Angeles area, we know that we need to address the sidewalk repairs in this city, and that is one of the first things that I believe we need to tackle. I know it's a very sensitive issue, and we have to figure out, the financing of that matter. But it is something that needs to be addressed. I was on a bike tour with my son this weekend, and the humps and bumps on our sidewalks made it a strenuous activity. But I'm more concerned about those persons that may be in a wheelchair, or those folks that really need assistance on the sidewalks.
Thank you, Ms. Maddox. Colleagues, I ask for your aye vote, and I want to thank you for your willingness to continue to serve our city family, and thank you for your continued love, passion, and commitment to our great city.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay, Mr. Labange.
Thank you. I'm just rise the fine chairman of the Public Works Committee to let this constituent know, who's going to be a commissioner, how special you are to the city, as articulated so greatly by Mr. Buscaino, the work that you've done in the city attorney's office, the fact that you're transferring from one department to Public Works Department. The neighborhood prosecutor is someone who's always in the community trying to bridge the gap of challenges that a community may have. The Board of Public Works is doing that, but on the public works side, which is so key to it. So I'm proud, a great resident of the Larchmont Village District, and all the good things that you have done in your life, that you're here to work on this very important board that is transforming the city. It is about public safety, it's about public education, public health, and public works. And if they're not all together, I forgot public humanities. And if they're not all together, we're not a city, and you're going to make the city better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman.
Hey, Casey.
Miss
How are
Perry.
you, man?
Miss Perry. Miss Jan Perry.
Oh, thank you very much. Sorry about that. I wanted to know if you had a perspective on your city attorney experience and how that might benefit you as a public works commissioner.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman. As a deputy city attorney, I've had an opportunity to work on the safety side of the needs of the community, and I'm very interested in moving my skill set forward to address the services side and the basic needs for the community and for the constituents of Los Angeles. Thank you.
Mr. Correct.
Thank you, Mr. President. No questions. I just wanted to say that in addition to being a good friend, we've had the opportunity to work together when you were a neighborhood prosecutor, and you did an incredible job on the things that you did that my office worked with you on. And so I'm very excited to see you here in another capacity. I know you'll do a great job, and look forward to working with you in the time ahead. So
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you.
Go right ahead.
Can I acknowledge the other fellow neighborhood prosecutor alums that are present?
Before you do that, I think you're going to want to afford Mr. Weezer the time, because we don't want to anger him before the vote. So let's play a little politics here. Mr. Weezer.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've figured me out. No, I just want to rise and support this and recognize that you're joining a number of other great commissioners. And this is a very important commission, as you know, and serves a very important function and purpose. Our commissions are very unique as a city, that very few other cities follow this model. But it allows us to vet some very important issues, and we will rely upon you as you come to council with some thoughtful recommendations on various issues. And I do want to recognize Geraldine Mendoza, who's here, another Public Works Commissioner, a number of others who will serve with you, and our President, Andrea Alarcon's back here. So we look forward to working with you. I think, as everyone else has mentioned, your service as a city attorney brings a great perspective. You understand the city as a whole, and when you think about this commission, it really speaks to those everyday issues people are concerned about. Make sure potholes are filled, trimming trees, our sidewalks are fixed, our streets function. It's a very important role, and I thank you for your service on this.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay, Mr. Englander.
I've been a critic, as many have heard, about the types and individuals that we appoint to commissions in terms of rubber stamping political appointments, and individuals who really don't know a lot about the commission they're about to be appointed to. And I can't think of another individual that I've actually, so far that I've been in office for a little over a year, that I'll be casting a vote for in just a minute, who's more qualified, quite frankly, who knows not only how the city operates, but just gets it, has common sense, not only has the knowledge and experience and training and education and the legal background and understands public works, but has common sense. And so working with you over this last year and certainly beyond that, I'm thrilled for the city, because we have so many challenges, and we need folks who get it, who are going to work hard and focus to get things done, not just kick the can down the road. And so the discussions we've had about fixing every street in the city of LA, I know we're going to continue those discussions and working towards that, but just a breath of fresh air that you bring. And so in advance, I want to say, because it'll only be moments away, congratulations, and I look forward to working with you. So,
Thank you,
God bless you.
Councilman. I'll keep my common sense.
Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to congratulate you. I know you're going to get the votes. You've worked hard. I see you at the City Attorney's Office. I see you out in the field. I know your dedication to the people of Los Angeles. I just want to congratulate you because without doubt you will be confirmed. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman.
Miss Maddox, it might be an appropriate time for you to introduce whoever you want to introduce at this time.
I just wanted to acknowledge my city family and my personal family that are here. Thank you.
Let's
so
give
much
them
for
a
your
round of
support.
applause.
Thank you.
Your son?
Yes, my favorite 5-year-old. Class of 2025.
All right. With that said, there are no more speakers in the queue. We will see if Mr. Zine is correct in his prediction that this would be a unanimous vote. Madam Clerk, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
And if I could ask the members of the audience to please give Council Member Zine a round of applause because he's never right. This is the first time. So give Dennis Zine a round of applause. Okay, at this time, Mr. Huizar, at this time what we're going to do is item 48, which is your item. We already met the public comment requirement, so you're going to get 10 minutes. Mr. Laban, stay. And we will start out with, we'll afford our colleague from the city of South Pasadena the courtesy of speaking first. So if Richard, if you could come forward.
Thank you. Honorable Mr. President, honorable council members, my name is Richard Schneider. I am a councilman in the city of South Pasadena, and you have known that the city of South Pasadena has opposed the 710 extension for decades. We've passed resolutions, the first one in 1947. Our current position, and I'm speaking for the city at this time, is that we are opposed to any extension, whether it be surface route, cut and cover trench, or deep bore tunnel. It has been a lonely fight over the decades, but times are changing. We now have two excellent allies in the city of Glendale and the city of La Cañada Flint Ridge, and many communities in Los Angeles. We've always had the support in El Sereno, now we have it in Highland Park, Garvanza, Eagle Rock, LaSalle Park, and Mount Washington. We hope that in the near future that we will have the opposition of the city of Los Angeles to help us. Thank you.
Say hello to all our friends at South Pass. Janet Dawson, is Janet here? Janet? Historic Highland Park Neighborhood Council. Janet Dotson. Next card will be Gloria Castro. Gloria Castro. Trish Gossett. Trish, are you there? Come on up. Maria Salas. If I've called your name, please line up. 1 minute comment. Thank you.
I'm Trish Gossett from Highland Park Neighborhood Council. Thank you for having this resolution. I totally support it. As you know, we are all for one and one for all in the 710 issue. All of our communities are united, and we will stay the course, and we will fight until we get Metro and Caltrans and the powers that be to understand that, you know, our solutions are reasonable, and what we want is reasonable. We see here that there are hotel workers in multitudes here today, and they're representing their cause. I just want to ask you to ask yourself one question. Do you think the people here fighting for their rights as hotel workers would have the money to support a toll on a tunnel or a freeway, should it be their should they be able to have that as an option? Thank you.
Thank you. Would the next speaker come forward there, call your name, and identify yourself?
Janet Dodson,
Thanks,
Historic
Janet.
Highland Park Neighborhood Council. Council members, do not be misled. These massive, polluting, disruptive, overpriced 5-mile no-exit toll tunnels filled with diesel trucks will not reduce congestion, pollution, and they will not bring jobs to Los Angeles. Rail, the true alternatives, will bring local jobs to Los Angeles. They're not in your districts. But when the foreign investment companies see their profits evaporate because no one will pay the $15 toll to travel 5 miles in a no-exit tunnel filled with diesel trucks, they will collapse and run, leaving us all to pay the $15 billion bill. And we will turn to you, asking what possessed you to abet this disaster. Instead, vote for this resolution and lead beautiful Los Angeles into producing greener solutions to modernize our crucial ports and transportation systems.
Thank you very much.
I think this needs to be restarted.
It will be. And then
Okay, thank you. I'm in favor of the above resolution.
Tell me your name.
Oh, Gloria Castro,
Thanks,
sir.
Gloria.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Your adoption today will send a strong and righteous message to Metro because it will include the H7 route. Please represent the people of Northeast LA County, public transit users, health care providers, school children, and small businesses in the affected area. And please note that no public participation was allowed, so you are our public participation ambassadors. Your passage will send the message that the buck stops with you. Your yes vote will demand that the truth prevail and that other options be considered. Jobs will be conserved and created with your thoughtful consideration and with public input. Pollution from building and operating the H7 would not stop at city borders. The saddling of the debt of a failed H7 tunnel will fall on our children to bear, and the scars left on this great city will be irreparable. This vote will define this council. It is the little things that you do, but it's the big things that define you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gloria. Next speaker, Trish. Maria Salas.
Going to speak quick. No.
Tell me your name.
Marie Salas,
Thank
El
you very
Sereno
much.
resident. No 710 tunnel in El Sereno. No F7. I don't see it on the board. I bring facts to you, President and council members throughout the city of Los Angeles. I bring to you a recent notice from Caltrans to tenants informing them of possible eviction. I will read the first paragraph from their letter. And this is from Caltrans, dated August 24th, 2012. After a recent drive-through inspection of area, it has been determined that some tenants are not keeping the appearance of their properties in a neat and condition order. I have facts here that I would like to put on the record and give to the President of the conditions of these homes that just don't make sense. Yet Caltrans is allowed to have their properties looking filthy. If Caltrans is doing a drive-by, why don't they go inside the homes and take a look at the slumlord conditions?
Thank you very much. You can hand out to the Sergeant. Trish Gossett. Is Trish here? Trish, her name is called. Julian Hines from Assemblymember Portantino's office, followed by Gretchen Knutson. Sergeant, would you receive the documents? Sergeant of Arms will come right now. A good council deputy could get it too. Lisa, get him.
Good afternoon, members of the council. My name is Julianne Hines. I'm here representing Assemblymember Anthony Portantino, and I want to commend the authors of this resolution and throw Assemblymember Portantino's wholehearted support behind this resolution. The process that has gone through with this study has been just atrocious, and any highway, freeway, or tunnel options would be catastrophic to California. We have much better priorities that we need to be spending our money on, and I just encourage you to support this resolution. I thank you, Mr. Huizar, for your bravery behind this resolution, and I just wanted to say that there are so many better ways that we can spend our resources that actually solve transportation problems and that create jobs that are good for our communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Gretchen Knudsen. Gretchen, are you the Knudsen family that used to be at the Tidings?
No, unfortunately. Okay. Hi, I'm Gretchen Knudsen. I just want to commend the council as well as the Transportation Committee and in particular Councilmember Huizar for his leadership on this issue. We have an opportunity today to vote in favor of this resolution and to make a clear statement to Metro and to Caltrans that your citizens deserve a better process that doesn't lack transparency, that has a more thorough technical analysis, that has a financial analysis with full figures disclosed, and a public outreach program that actually reaches to the public. The performance on all three of these factors has been absolutely abysmal. Also, Metro is failing to recognize or wants to discuss the goods movement as it relates to this issue, and they've intentionally corrected some of their documents, pulling out any references to goods movement. We would encourage the council to stay on them for clear information regarding this intent. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Knudsen. Tina Gillott Miller, is that correct? Tina, thank you very much. Followed by Dr. Bill Sherman.
My name is Tina Galata Miller. I'm a resident of Gravanza. First of all, I want to thank the Transportation Committee of the Council for yesterday for the unanimous vote to send this motion to Council, to full Council, and I particularly want to thank Councilman Huizar for all of his hours, for all of his time in the last week to communicate with our community and our needs about the SI 710 extension. I also want to talk about I want to personally thank the full council and for accepting the comments that we sent in over the last few days. I know we've had a lot of meetings. Thank you.
Dr. Bill Sherman, South Pasadena Transportation Commission, and I'm on the Metro Technical Advisory Committee representing the city of South Pasadena. The problem with the EIR-EIS alternative analysis is that they have not properly identified the reasons it is being done. They state the purpose is to relieve congestion and improve mobility of the existing transportation system. The additional unstated goal is to move goods more efficiently from the ports. Hassan Akrada from SCAG clearly identified and states in the 2012 RTP that the 710 extension is about goods movement. The 5 remaining alternatives alone will not resolve the problems of congestion on the I-5, I-210, I-10, 101, 405, 105, 110, and SR-60 freeways. The 5 remaining alternatives, Measure R was all about moving ahead with mass transit projects for moving people. These are needed. The 5 remaining alternatives do not address goods movement. The solution to goods movement is all about heavy rail and a more efficient system to unload, move containers.
Thank you. Is it John Sappos? John Sappos. Yes, sir. Welcome.
Hi, John Schaefer, San Rafael Neighborhoods Association. We support the resolution and we strongly support the amendment as well. The transportation policy of the City of Los Angeles is to make a vibrant city through enhanced mobility. The 710 extension will do neither. It is an 8-lane concrete pipeline into neighborhoods with trucks and pollution. Mr. LaBonge earlier today spoke about his favorite story, Mike Mulligan and the steam shovel, Marianne. This is not Marianne the steam shovel. This is a 60-foot high monster that will dig a tunnel with a volume 9 times greater than each of the Red Line subway tunnels. 270 million cubic feet of earth will come out of this tunnel and go through Los Angeles neighborhoods on the way to landfills. This is an environmental disaster for El Sereno. This is an environmental disaster for the communities around it. The cost is more than the combined cost of the Expo line, Crenshaw line, and Blue lines combined.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. Mr. Labange.
Mr. Weezer, I just got an email from Mike Mulligan and Mary Ann. They support your motion. Thank you.
Mr. Weezer.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. And first, I want to thank you, Mr. President, for allowing our public speakers to speak today, allowing them some time, although the public hearing had been closed. And second of all, I want to thank the Transportation Committee from yesterday, the Chair, Koretz, and Mr. Labange having to juggle a few committees and having to run down because he thought this was important for him to be at this committee as well. And finally, I want to thank all the advocates and the community who's here today. All those in favor of this resolution, can you please stand to show the support for this? I know a number of you couldn't speak. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time from your busy schedules. Thank you. And now, briefly, colleagues, what this is a reinstatement of a motion that we passed back in 2009, which opposed the extension of the 710 freeway under particular zones. Now that Metro is studying particular routes, it is time for the Council to once again stand up and reinstate opposition to those routes, a lot of them which, quite frankly, make no sense or are illogical. And what's different from the resolution today is that yesterday in committee we actually added F7, which was the tunnel route. Originally, we had proposed, and the thinking behind my staff and some other council offices was, well, let's oppose those illogical routes that make no sense. But we were told that anecdotally the tunnel route may actually help El Sereno, the community that had been most impacted, since right now the 710 freeway ends at Valley. A lot of that traffic goes out into the small streets. Huntington Drive and Soto Street is used as an alternative right now, so you do have additional traffic, and we are impacted there. However, as we heard about the horrible community outreach that MTA did, I started to have some distrust about whether we can get that information to make the appropriate information in the future as to whether the tunnel was the right thing to do or not. And this isn't new. I've been in this office for 6 years, and when I first got elected, when Metro was out there doing some outreach on the boring that was happening to find out if it would be seismically and geographically safe to do some tunneling, they disrespected and took for granted Northeast Los Angeles and El Sereno. A lot of times there was no translation for people who did not speak English. There was no technical staff available to answer technical questions. And we took that more as a dog and pony show that didn't take seriously the input that the community would want to give. So I asked myself, when we do receive this information about whether the tunnel makes sense or not, who's to say that they're giving us the right information or they're doing the appropriate community outreach for the community to decide whether that makes sense or not? So we decided to add the F7 one and oppose that as well, to put the burden of proof on Caltrans and MTA to show us if it makes sense in the future. But for now, it will be the City of Los Angeles' position to oppose it. And colleagues, I ask that you join me. We, as a city, any other public agency, should not take for granted the communities which would be impacted the most as Metro and Caltrans hands, and I hope you can join me in this vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. No more. If we could keep it down, let's keep it down so we can vote. Okay, Madam Clerk, please, Madam Clerk, if you would please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Mr. Weezer appreciates it, but thank you. We have more business to attend to forthwith. at Mr. Weezar's request. And for the other people that came here and filled out cards and did not speak, know that your cards will be noted in the record. Okay, I'm going to go to general public comment for a while now. If I could get Donna Pearman, Dr. Tom Williams, and Antonia Ramirez.
I'm Donna Perriman, and I'm in pain. I should be in Van Nuys City Hall, not Spring Street. Though I miss Councilman Garcetti, but I thank him for leaving his bunny cup. You're wrong for taking away Marion Fogler's right to speak, to have to come all the way here. It takes 2 hours to get here and 8 blocks one way. She would be in a lot of pain. So this is wrong what you're doing. We need someone to help us reopen Van Nuys. We need, if somebody out there with $15,000, we could get an attorney to reopen Van Nuys. And we go straight to the attorney. We don't want it for all the San Fernando Valley and all the disabled. We need anyone to fill out ADA forms for the disabled. It's on Google. It's not right to give tax exemptions to businesses, car dealerships, film industry. Yet you take away our right to speak in Van Nuys. You give tax breaks to parking lot dealers. And you have money misspent on the MTA. These businesses are not paying their fair share. Everyone, the businesses are not paying their fair share. You give tax breaks to businesses where you can get contributions to your campaign. You take away the right to speak in Van Nuys, and you take away the money for the city employees by giving the tax breaks to businesses. You have plenty of money over here that you have that you must spend, that you can open up Van Nuys City Hall. This is ridiculous. This could be some. I can see it being a big potential for a lot of speakers. A lot of people use it.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tom Williams, Antonia Ramirez, Daryl Ramos Young, Nancy Caprin, John Walsh, Michael Carrion, Sung Young Yang,
Good afternoon. I'd like to read a story from the LA Times dated August the 16th, and it reads, Arizona, U.S. immigrant effort countered. On the day President Obama's executive order delaying deportation for many young illegal immigrants took effect, Republican Governor Jan Brewer issued one of her own. The Arizona law bars benefits or state-issued identifications for those in the country illegally, even if they qualify for the federal program. I salute these two great Americans, the Honorable Governor of Arizona, Jan Brewer, and the Honorable ex-Governor of California and ex-military Marine veteran, Pete Wilson, who both against all odds tirelessly worked to enforce the American rule of law, to free its Arizona citizens to a wholesome, pure, safe, and protected, vibrant quality of life with peaceful and quiet enjoyment, as it should be. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a dire epidemic of Latino criminal illegal aliens and Latino gangbanger criminal empire. Look out here. These criminal illegal aliens...
Okay, well, just keep it down. Let's just
demanding
keep it
more
down.
rights. As per the Constitution, they have no constitutional rights. We don't even get the military coming here begging for services. Again, you politicos have failed to serve and protect military veterans, all pilots, their respective families, and all legal law-abiding citizens. The only thing these criminal illegal aliens and Latino gangbangers are owed are, including anchor babies, are a good napalm up their asses and deport their ashes in smithereens. Thank you very much.
Come on now. Come on. Hey, to the people, to the other people that are here. Wait. I understand how she makes you feel. Just pray for her. So to the other people that are here, just just pray for her. John Walsh.
John
of
Walsh.
HollywoodHighland.org.
You took
I
the
like
words right
saying
out of
that,
my mouth.
Mr. Walsh. I
Don't
like it.
Pay attention. They're trying to divide us. They do this by the black Republicans get up and say, oh, the white people are all right. They're bought off. Remember, these people that get up here and attack their own blood are bought off. They want you to get angry so they can say, see the Mexicans, they would tear her apart. You got to understand that the white man is very, very clever and realizes, and I am a white man, if we want to continue to run the city and to run America, we must turn the minorities against one another. You understand what she's doing? And remember, I am here to tell you what white people say when the last minority leaves the room. And for the past 40 years, the phrase they always use is this exactly. They will overrun us. That's what they see. They see blacks and Hispanics overrunning white people. And it's really the white people in charge. They use the working class white people as shock troops. And they end up getting nothing except being able to say, at least they haven't overrun us. This is what I'm one of the few white people who will tell you exactly what happens behind closed doors. That's why you should come to HollywoodHighlands.org. And we have people like Eric Garcetti, who is part Mexican and part white. Where is he? Come to Hollywood and see the crime in Hollywood. I had a big debate with Eric. Eric said the crime was down. Did you see what happened yesterday in Hollywood? It looked like Kabul, Afghanistan in Hollywood. The criminals have taken over Hollywood. Certain gangs are fighting. The drug gangs are the most white of all because they sell to their own people to destroy them. They're controlled by white people, the gangs. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Mr. Carrion, Dr. Williams, Dr. Tom Williams, please head down. Michael Carrion, Soon Young Yang, Daryl Ramos Young, Nancy Campri. Yes, Michael.
Thank you. Okay, I'm here to speak on Caltrans and not the 710 issue. So let's not mix them up so the city attorney doesn't get all confused. Caltrans has lost $22.5 million, and yet they want to put a tunnel through El Sereno. They're not landlords, and yet they want to dictate to people what they should do when they don't clean up their own property, just like the city of Los Angeles. It's a shame when Mr. Weezer uses words like distrust and respect and disrespect. Mr. Parks has put up about 8 motions for people who have been killed in his community. I've been asking Mr. Weezer about a gentleman that was murdered in El Sereno. Why hasn't he put up a reward? Why isn't he talking to the family? Oh, I'm taking the police department's lead. Well, the police department's not always right. A young child, 18 years old, was assassinated in El Sereno, and Mr. Weezer is going to sit on his hands. So then I think I won't be talking to Mr. Weezer anymore regarding this. I'll be talking to the people who are going to vote in a year and a half or 2. The people who voted him in. The people who are going to be electing the next councilman. I think it's time right now he step up to the plate or get out of the field. Okay? Mr. Parks has put up 8 requests for $25,000, $50,000, and $75,000. Mr. Weezer is too busy on Bring Back Broadway to worry about anything else that goes on in this community. Try to get weeds pulled. Mr. Weezer's staff doesn't even know who to call or where to go. So they argue amongst themselves on what they should and shouldn't be doing or what they can and can't be doing. Once again, you guys got to help Caltrans.
Thank you, Mr. Carrion. Doctor, the doctor's in the house. Come on, doctor.
Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council, Land Use Committee Chairperson. What did we just do? We don't know, because tomorrow is the Technical Advisory Committee meeting for the SR 710. And our representative, the LA DOT designated Mr. Ken Husting to represent the city of LA. Will he complain to MTA and the rest of the technical advisory committee that all of the alternatives that require any sort of roads and such don't comply with the 2009 or with the now 2012 resolution? Resolutions don't have any teeth. I would highly recommend that you ask the city attorney to prepare an ordinance that would codify your resolutions, and then maybe we can get the LADOT to recognize that, hey, they need to put some teeth into the technical advisory committee and come up with a real solution to our traffic problems in Northeast LA. There are solutions. Many of the people that came here today have some of them. We need to combine them all in a Northeast LA transportation plan that will really work for us and for others. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, we're going to now vote on reconsideration of item 40, which we continued, but Mr. Koretz would like for us to hear that item today. So if we could prepare to vote on reconsideration, if you could open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Koretz, what we're going to do is we're going to have a 10-minute public comment, 1 minute each. Do you want to open or do you want to wait until public comment is over?
Do the public comment.
Okay, so if I could get Maria Elena Durazo, Juan Arvelo, Martha Salcedo, Ed Gutierrez, please come forward.
Good morning, council members and council president, Maria Elena Durazo at the LA Federation of Labor, and I'm very proud to be here today on behalf of the Destination LA Partnership, and I mean that in a real, sincere, and broad way. Partners with AEG, with hotel operators like the LAX Radisson, with hotel ownership like those of the Hyatt Century Plaza. We are here to fully support the thousands of hospitality workers with a hospitality job training program, workforce development program, recruit workers from the hardest areas hardest hit by the recession, and a citywide living wage. What we're asking today is that despite the industry's success, and we're very proud of that, what has helped those the success is that workers are still living below the federal poverty limit. We ask today, vote for the Living Wage Impact Study, the study as a next step to building a strong tourism industry.
Thank you. Thank you. If you could identify yourself.
Good morning, council members. My name is Juan Arevalo, and I work in the Millennium Billmore Hotel, downtown Los Angeles. I live in Boyle Heights, that represents Mr. Wizard. And today I'm here in behalf of the LA Destination. We ask to you as leaders, as our city leaders, to support and vote yes on the study for the living wage proposal. We, the people that work in the industry, we work very hard, the room attendants, dishwashers, cooks, and we make this city one of the most busy cities around the world. So we ask for your support and approve this. This is a good proposal, not only for the families. It's good for the city, for our communities. The people have more money in their pockets. They spend more money. The city gets more taxes. So we ask you to vote yes in the living wage study impact. Thank you.
Thank you. If we could keep it down, guys, keep it down. You're eating into your testimony time. Hi, Martha.
Hello. Good morning. My name is Martha Salcedo, and I'm here representing Anschutz Entertainment Group.
Last year, Los Angeles was host to more than 26 million visitors. We're on target for another great year, and a huge part of that success is due to the men and women who work in the hospitality industry that take good care of the tourists and visitors that come to our city. I'm here to support the authorization of a living wage impact study, which will assess the impact of a living wage for hospitality workers, the industry, and the city. Tourism is poised to be the city's top economic engine and will be the driving force behind leading an economic recovery for Los Angeles. And we encourage you to support the Living Wage Impact Study. Thank you.
Thank you. Ed Gutierrez, Juan Banales, Patty Bellasalma.
Good morning, Mr. President and council members. My name is Patricia Bellasalma, President of California National Organization for Women. I'm here this morning taking time from the last week of session in Sacramento because this issue before you today is that important. Not just to Los Angeles' economic future, but to the state and to the nation's. Women and men who work tirelessly to ensure the visitors to Los Angeles are cared for should not need public assistance to make ends meet, to be forced to choose between feeding their children or providing a roof over their head. Every single human being has a right to live with dignity. Part of our obligation to each other is to pay a fair wage for a fair day's work. In addition, there is no more powerful economic engine than putting money in the hands of women. That is why California Now joins Destination LA in enthusiastic support of the Los Angeles City Council's authorization of the Hospitality Worker Living Wage Impact.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ed Gutierrez. Ed Gutierrez, Juan Banales, Sam Pullen, Robert, I can't make out the last name, Hotel Association of Los Angeles, Vanessa Rodriguez, Ann Williams, boy, I'm striking out, Doug Arsenault, Ruben Gonzalez. Come on, Ann, I called your name. Come on. Identify yourself.
Bob Amana, Hotel Association Los Angeles, City Council members. Mr. President, thank you for this opportunity. We are here this morning expressing our deep concerns over this motion which proposes the improved well-being of the city by adding further legislation barriers to businesses, namely one, the lodging industry, an industry which provides generally in tax revenues and incidental tax subsidies. All the while it's already being heavily regulated by federal and state requirements. How will targeting one industry, discriminating hotel businesses, solve the city's fiscal budget crisis or even improve our economy? It's not. Contrary to the messages conveyed today and the materials already being circulated by the proponents, statistics are misleading and so-called industry supporters are being misrepresented. There are serious challenges facing our city. We understand that. There are measures that need to be taken, yes. However, legislative mandates enforcing private sector decision-making is not the role of city government. Again, this motion does not serve the interests of the hotel industry, nor did the hotel industry ask for it.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, just come forward and identify yourself.
Good
please.
morning. I'm Ann Williams with the Central City Association. On behalf of our hotel members, we want to say that this motion is not coming from the hotel industry. We question the value of spending scarce city resources to study giving incentives to an industry that isn't asking for them. At the same time, in this budgetary environment, we wonder where the city would even find the money necessary to provide incentives. We're left asking what the real motivation is behind the effort. In addition, CCA is concerned that the motion is moving forward without proper process. The matter was assigned to 2 policy committees, yet was waived through both committees without any public hearing. We will be monitoring this issue and look forward to working closely with the city as it moves forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. My name is Ruben Gonzalez with the LA Area Chamber of Commerce. Today I'm here to ask, what's the rush? I understand that Sacramento is about to end their legislative session, but you don't have the same restrictions. So why have we faced basically a gut and amend today? The motion that was posted on the agenda, as well as the one that's been sitting in committee for 4 months, has nothing to do with the living wage impact study. And so yet, after skipping any sort of transparent committee process where the scope of work for such a study could have been worked out with all interested parties, all of a sudden, with limited amount of time, lead time, this is all of a sudden dropped into the middle of full council? I've never seen this in the over 15 years I've worked on issues in the city of LA. So I would ask that this be continued as originally it should have been and returned to committee so that we can actually talk about what this study should be and vet it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, council members. My name is Doug Arsenault of the Valley Industry and Commerce Association, representing more than 370 businesses that have created over 100,000 jobs in Los Angeles and the surrounding area. We're glad to see that the city is making a concerted effort toward economic development. However, this issue is being distorted to impose a citywide living wage in a manner similar to the LAX hospitality corridor. That proposal is nowhere in the motion. Furthermore, it would be in violation of the mayor's commitment to limit that imposition to the LAX corridor due to its unique circumstances. There's simply no nexus here. Without that commitment, the proposal would not have moved forward. That said, we look forward to working closely with the city towards the motion's stated goal of supporting business growth and removing barriers to economic progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Koretz.
No, go ahead. It's fine. Thank you, Mr. President.
And why don't you just tell us what this is? I mean, isn't this just a study and the only question is where do we get the money? But it's a study, or did something change?
I would think this would be relatively non-controversial. It's this is a study to find ways to improve our tourism industry. And we've had a good year in tourism, but we're behind San Francisco in terms of total visitors and behind in total economic input in other cities like it. Hotels and tourism are not just great because of the taxes that they generate for the city, but because of the thousands of jobs, direct and indirect. And today I want to move this item forward so our experts can come back to us with options for attracting new businesses and new tourists in Los Angeles. And I don't really understand the kind of opposition that we've heard to this. I think this should be a relatively straightforward and non-controversial motion.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. And members, we are going to be cutting it close where it relates to a quorum. Mr. Zine.
Thank you. And I do support this matter. What it calls for is not only the workforce, but including facilities, existing hotels, with how we can provide funds to help renovate the hotels, sources of funds, mechanism for assessing such incentives. So it's about building incentives to help the hotel industry, help tourism. And this morning I heard that they're looking at building another hotel downtown where there's a car wash at Figueroa and Olympic on the northwest corner, and they're talking about a $24 million purchase of that site for another hotel. And we know that they're building a lot of hotels in downtown because of Staples and the tourism, the activity. So I think this study is going to show with the TOT there are funds that come in from the transit occupancy tax, if that or some other source is available, to do this study and to find out how we can build our tourism industry. We don't have a strong manufacturing base, but we do have the tourism aspect, and how we build it stronger. So if the employees are compensated and they receive fair compensation and the visitors receive fair treatment and they want to come back and tell their friends and neighbors to come back, it's a wonderful opportunity for all. I mean, we could be in Florida right now, in Miami, where a hurricane's going to strike. We come to Los Angeles where it's sunny and bright, and we have an opportunity to help the tourism industry here in this region. So I strongly support this. Thank you.
Mr. Englander. Mr. Englander.
Yeah, I'm looking at this motion, and with all due respect, I'm trying to figure out why the concern from the business industry, quite frankly, on this. As was mentioned by my colleagues, tourism, visitors, it's one of our largest industries here in Los Angeles. And it's incredibly competitive. And so I would think we need to look at everything we can do to make it a better environment for those visitors coming here. Certainly not on the backs of everybody. We're all in this together. And the way that I look at it, and what it says specifically is that the CAO, in consultation with the Office of Finance, Community Development Department, and the CLA, be directed to report with recommendations for creating economic incentives including public benefits to help strengthen the tourism industry, including providing existing hotels with funds to renovate their facilities, identifying sources of funds for this purpose, and mechanisms for assessing such incentives. I think that's incredibly positive. It's the idea of looking for what opportunities out there. In fact, I would, if I could, entertain a friendly amendment to this to say there's concern on both sides of this, but I look at this as we're all in this together. And we have to look at the industries that are driving our region and the facilities, as well as the community around them, as well as the workers in them, and make sure that we make it a pleasant environment for all, and that the businesses are thriving and flourishing and also making money. And so if we could, this is all internal in the city family, but I think we need to look at the experts, and the experts on this are the workers and the hotel owners. And so they should have a seat at the table to work together on this to identify what those incentives might be as well. So I would expand this, if I could get a friendly second on that as an amendment, to say that we ask the workers as well as the Hotel Association to have a seat at the table to work together with this group to identify what those incentives should be. And we just passed recently a tax break for new car dealers because we've lost 100 of them. That's $60 million in sales tax revenue to the city. And they provide a lot of great paying jobs as well. And so this council unanimously passed that. And that was working with both associations, both the workers there and the New Car Dealers Association, to identify what incentives, and that's what they came forward with. So I would ask if we can get a friendly second from Mr. Koretz on that, and so we can expand it to include both the industry and the workers to work with our city family and our staff to identify those incentives. And let's move forward together in a positive direction.
Second. I need your second one.
Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you. And, it's so important to make sure that when people visit the city of Los Angeles, they want to come back because of making sure that they have a memorable, enjoyable experience. And we have found that folks touring and visiting Los Angeles and looking at our TOT numbers, they are coming back. And the reason why they're coming back is because of you, all in the red shirts, who are working hard for the city of Los Angeles, for our hotels. But I do agree with my colleague, Mr. Englander. I do believe that, we need to have our hotel family come to the table as well, and be part of the process when it comes to moving forward on this study. I would ask that in looking and moving forward, to request that the following be included in any economic impact report: comparison of impacted hotels in various regions of the city and geographical client market; 2, impact on the various hotels based on the room counts; 3, effects on different category type of hotels: full service, limited, branded, independent, family-owned, corporate, franchise-owned; 4, impacts on full-time, part-time, and seasonal employment; and 5, effect on future hotel investments and new lodging development projects to the city of Los Angeles. So with that, if I can have a second to that friendly amendment to move forward, I appreciate that, Mr. Englander. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Labange.
Thank Mr. Buscaino, and thank the people here, but also thank the weather. Got to remember, the weather of Los Angeles brings the people here, but you make them have a good experience. And I want to thank the business owners. You got to smile just a little. That's it. And we'll work it out, and we'll see what it is. It is a study, and the CAO is going to do the study and see if it's possible to see that all boats rise. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huizar.
But let's have a hand for the weather. Come on.
Thank you, Mr. President. 2 quick things. Number one, I think everyone has said most, but I do think this is a win-win when you really look at this. And the only way for us to move forward and make good public policy is to get the information we need. And that's what this is asking for. But as you look at the future of Los Angeles, and not only in downtown Los Angeles, but throughout the city, there's a number of new proposals for hotels. And when you look at downtown and the renovations and revitalization that's occurring there, the proposals that are coming down the pipeline, we have to start thinking ahead. And this is one piece of many where we start doing that and get information to better think about it in a comprehensive manner with good information about what makes sense for everyone, the workers, tourists, and everyone else. So I think this is one of many other pieces that we should be thinking about as we move forward. It's a win-win. I think at the end of the day, as you said, both Mr. Buscaino and Englander, when we put our heads together, we come up with something that makes sense to improve Los Angeles. We all have common ground here. We have a common future. And at the end of the day, we need this amongst a lot of other information to continue the vitality of downtown LA and all the city of LA. Muchísimas gracias por llegar. Sabemos que ustedes son unas de las gentes que hace a Los Ángeles tener lo que tenemos aquí. Sin su trabajo no era posible y queremos apoyarlos en lo que están haciendo hoy. Gracias por venir.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Huizar. Mr. Labange, I just received a text from the weather, and she thanks you for your kind words. Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, you know, our temporary occupancy tax is one of the few things right now that's starting to look optimistic in our budget, and that we're getting those revenues that are starting to increase. And part of the reason for that, I think, is because of what Maria Elena Durazo spoke eloquently about, and that's the partnership between labor and business to try to create a more vibrant tourist industry here in Southern California. And that partnership is an example, I think, of what we should be doing across our economy, of working together in the common interest to try to provide more jobs, more good jobs, greater economic vitality, and to continue to build the ladder that our residents need to ascend to the middle class and then, you know, to continue to thrive and succeed as families. That's how we succeed as a city, when families have the opportunity to be able to make a good living, to be able to support their children, to have money to spend that helps the rest of our business environment. So I think that this is exceptionally important, that we continue to have this strong, positive working relationship that you've all described today. And I want to thank Mr. Kretz for bringing this forward. I just want to stand in support of the motion as it's been presented, because I think that it shouldn't be controversial to continue to look for ways that we can encourage one of our most important industries. It shouldn't be controversial to look for ways that we can continue to invest in our tourist infrastructure and find ways to make Los Angeles more attractive to more tourists. This is one of the most critical ways we're going to get out of our current economic morass, is by attracting people in from outside of the city to come here, spend their money here, increase our sales tax by bringing in outside revenues. These are critically important elements to our economic recovery, and so I stand in support. I do just want to try to provide a little bit of clarity, or ask a clarifying question, I guess, if I could, because a number of the public speakers spoke specifically to living wage study. What's before us now deals with a variety of economic incentives, including public benefits, to strengthen the tourism industry, workforce development, and so on, which is not specific to living wage. It's a broader issue than that. I think that the amendments that I heard Mr. Buscaino propose sounded as though they were directed primarily to the living wage argument, but that doesn't appear to be the study that's before us today. The study that's before us today is recommendations for creating economic incentives, including public benefits, to help strengthen the industry, investing in workforce as well as facilities, including providing existing hotels with funds to renovate, and so on. So I just wanted to make sure that we were all clear on what we were voting on. As I understand it, it's the language that's in Mr. Rosendahl, Mr. Huizar's, Mr. Aliquin's, Mr. Kretz's motion that's on the agenda today. So I guess I'd want to ask first for the clarification that that is, in fact, what we're voting on today.
It's my understanding, given the statements by Mr. Buscaino and Mr. Englander, and if Mr. Koretz is comfortable with that, it is my understanding that those are the things that we're discussing.
Okay, so Mr. Kretz, first of all, I wanted to understand whether the amendments, whether you were accepting those amendments as being friendly, because certainly having business and labor at the table is something that we would expect anyway. I'm not sure about the other issues that Mr. Buscaino raised, but I want to know because I haven't heard you say yet whether those are friendly amendments.
Well, it's hard for me to see a way in which they would be harmful. I think the ideal is that we get everybody to work together, and so I'd be inclined to accept those as friendly amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz.
Stand in support. Ask for your aye vote.
Ms. Perry.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to highlight something, and maybe it'll cause people to feel positive about this on both sides of this equation. A while ago, I introduced a motion about the use of transit occupancy tax because we had done a study, and it's underway now, according to the chief legislative analyst, on the number of hotel rooms we needed to get to here in the city of Los Angeles so that we could truly be competitive with cities like Chicago, cities like Las Vegas. So we need to get to 5,000 hotel rooms in, 5 years? 5,000 hotel rooms in 5 years to truly be competitive. My motion talked about taking transit occupancy tax and using that as an incentive to get more developers in here to build more hotels. The only way we're going to get out of the recession is to build our way out of this recession. Travel and tourism is one of the fastest ways to be able to do that. We're on the cusp of probably some once-in-a-lifetime opportunities with the stadium, with the convention center expansion, and these are things that are never going to come around again. So I think it's good to have this conversation. We may come out with ideas that people haven't considered yet, haven't thought of yet. Nobody should feel polarized about this. No one should feel threatened by this, because if we can put more people back to work, I think we all share the same goal.
Mr. Koretz, to close.
I just want to clarify this is just intended to be a report from the CAO on this subject, and that we would have assumed that they would have talked to everyone in the industry anyway, but I think it's fine to have Mr. Englander's motion to clarify that.
All right.
And I ask for an aye vote on this motion with the friendly amendments.
Okay, so now let's vote on this item as amended. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Labange. Mr. Labange. Okay. No, all right. Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, what business is before? Well, Mr. Huizar.
Mr. President, if I could ask if we could reconsider item 22 from the August 24th meeting. We have a substitute motion for the El Grito. It misidentified a fund how we are funding that event, please. And
Okay,
the
so
motion has been passed around.
Madam Clerk, can we just vote on we could just vote on reconsideration then at this point?
Yes, then vote on the item.
Okay, so let's
for the record, there's a council
Mr.
file.
City Attorney.
A council file number has to be stated pursuant to council rules.
It's Council File 11-1433-S2.
Okay, let's prepare to vote on reconsideration. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, now the item is actually before us. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, now, Madam Clerk, what item is before us?
If general public comment has been finished, then we are at council has motions for posting and referral.
No, I called these cards earlier. I will call them again. Darrell Ramos Young, Nancy Capri or Capro, and Sun Young Yang. Okay, I do not see them, so the general public comment is closed. Consider the other motions posted and referred, so that should bring us to announcements. Members' announcements, Mr. Labange.
Okay, no announcements, adjourning motions. Adjourning motions? I have an adjourning motion. I ask you all to please rise. If I could ask all members to rise. Sergeant, we just take a moment to remember Neil Armstrong, the great American who was the first man on the moon, who went where no one went before, and ask that we all adjourn in his memory, as we all know. Proud graduate of USC, and he attended Purdue University, but a very proud graduate of USC. Thank you, Mr. Krikorian. And that one small step for man, one giant step for mankind. Just think about those words and what it means and how ironic it is we just, Rover and all the people at JPL, landed on Mars. So I remember where I was in 1969. I was at the Greek Theater when they landed on the moon. And every time I think of the moon, I think of the Greek Theater and that day. So let's all adjourn in memory of the great American Neil Armstrong. Members, have a good day. And Mr. Huizar has an additional thought. Please, Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. And colleagues, I ask that we adjourn today in memory of Adela Cota Orozco. She is the mother of a good friend of mine, and I'm sure of some of you, Gerard Orozco. She was born in Sonora, Mexico on March 21st, 1937. She passed away peacefully at Arcadia Methodist Hospital Saturday morning from heart failure and cancer. She was a bright, energetic, and overall, she exuded happiness to all around her, including myself, the many times I came across her. She was a devoted wife and mother to 4 children, including Gerard Orozco, who is a former CD14 staffer. She served her community any way she could. She was on the PTA board at Fletcher Drive Elementary. She was a volunteer at Centro de Niños and would help at my annual CD14 toy drives. She was one of the most generous people I knew, always smiling, happy, with a genuine heart. She has 10 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. May she rest in peace, and our thoughts and prayers go out to her loved ones. I certainly will miss seeing her around the many times we were able to share a smile and laughter together. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, and please send our condolences from the council as well. Before we do adjourn, the city attorney said I did misstep in my statement of Neil Armstrong. It was one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Let's all remember Neil Armstrong and all those astronauts, past and present, for what they do for us in the world. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.